So you brushed your hair. I'm
I
excited.
brushed my hair today. You're welcome.
That's good. I was worried last night when you responded and said, I'll be there. I was going to respond and say, hey, just a reminder, make sure to brush your hair. Okay. For everybody
Yes.
watching, that's an inside joke between me and Lindy.
I always need to know, like, how serious is the Zoom, right? Like, is it casual? Nobody else is going to be seeing it, or is this projected out to the world and I need to brush my hair? So,
That's awesome. Well, thanks for being on, Lindy. This is, I'm excited that you're here. And let's tell everybody a little bit about yourself and then how we met, because we kind of already talked about that a little bit earlier on Patty's this morning, but I want it from your perspective. So
yeah,
let's
I
talk a
listened
little bit
in.
about it.
Emily, hi, Emily. Wow. So, yes, thank you for mentioning this morning. I'm going to share a little bit more insight because I don't think all of our Convene friends and anyone who's listening really could grasp the magnitude of that day for me. So I'm going to start by saying, if you're not, October this month is Domestic Violence Awareness Month.
Mhm.
And last April, unfortunately, I lost a longtime friend, a veteran. We worked together in the Air Force. I met her in 2008. We worked together every day for about 2 years. And unfortunately, she and her 5-year-old son were tragically taken under the evils of domestic violence just this past April. And that was just days. I found out about that just a few days in the morning by looking on Facebook, and I saw the report, and my world crashed that day. It was the first time someone so close to me in that capacity that I had worked with for so long, um, just experienced something so awful. And she and I had our babies together, our
Oh, wow.
firstborns together.
Yeah.
And so we always joked she was my sister from another mother.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so that is what was happening in my life real time. In that joined the Patty's Book Club, and Anthony McCauley, who will be on later, is the one who invited me. And I mean, this is crazy because the topic for that day was friendship. And I had just found out that I had lost such a dear friend whom I knew was struggling. You always say, I had no idea
Yeah.
what she was going through, but I knew a little bit. I just, unfortunately didn't know that was the extreme and the extent of what she was experiencing. So that was my introduction to Convene. And when I joined that day and that group, I was in a very low, flat emotional place because I was just still trying to process everything. Oh, by the way, I'm in my own transition out of the military
Yeah.
after 20 years, and a lot of changes are going on. So friendship was so important, and maintaining connections and maintaining old connections and making new connections. And
Yeah.
that's exactly what I was, walking into, is a discussion on the importance of connecting and friends, and nurturing friendships and maintaining them. And you're absolutely right. The moment that I even just mentioned that I, was in the Air Force, let alone, if you can imagine a Zoom screen with, because there were several people on the
Yeah.
screen that day, and the whole Brady layout. Most people were just kind of laid back, sitting. And the second that I started to share that, I was kind of having a rough time, literally everybody was like, whoop. like I have no doubt that if we were actually able to be, because this was after the
Yeah.
COVID shutdowns, right? If we were actually able to be at that point, I have no doubt that I would have gotten probably 17 hugs and uh, you know,
Yeah.
pats on the head, and
Yeah.
but it was a good feeling, and it's exactly
Was.
what I needed. And it's been amazing ever since, making new friends. And you're absolutely right. It is a family now. It's an
Yeah.
extended family. Unfortunately, it's a virtual family right now
Virtual family
for
right
the
now.
most part.
Yeah.
But I believe that's not going to last,
No,
much
it won't
longer.
last too much longer, hopefully. But that was a special moment, and it was a special moment for that whole call because, I'm a big believer that things happen for a reason, and that call was for a reason that day. And if you remember what I said to you, I said, Lindy, this call was for you today. There's a
Right.
reason why you're here, and this call is for you. And I
It was
said,
not an accident. Yeah.
no, and you didn't know
And
it.
I believe that.
And I said, do you know how many veterans are on here? I remember asking you, do you know how many veterans are on here? And I said, well,
I
how?
guessed, right? I don't know. I guessed, but I think I was in the ballpark somewhere.
Yeah,
But I wouldn't have needed to hear that because just the amount of like leaning in that
yeah,
happened, I couldn't pick them out one by one.
yeah, yeah, exactly.
I
Which
was
is
very thankful. Yes.
so.
I see a couple of people. I just want to give a couple shout
Yeah,
outs.
go ahead.
Hetsia
Go
and Emily. I work with them, writing and doing some other things. So thank you for
Yeah,
hanging out
thank
with
you
me
for
this
listening
morning.
and being here. That is awesome. So glad y'all are here and listening to Lindy. She's our rock star. She makes things happen. So 20 years, 20 years in the Air Force.
And 19 days.
20 years, 19 days. That's amazing. So veteran to veteran, I always tell you this, but congratulations on that. But
Thank you.
man, that transition out is just sucks. You know?
It's hard. I started. I'll say I started 2 years early, right? Because I was really planning for this.
Yeah.
I was really looking forward to it, and it was time, and I was confident that this was the right choice and the right decision I was making. And so I'm that person. I start as soon as it's ready, as soon as that hour shifts to
Yeah.
the day I'm eligible to begin. That's when I do it. So I've been on this journey for over 2 years now,
Yeah.
and I'm still in it. It
Absolutely.
really doesn't end, to be honest.
Look,
And
I got out on January 1st, 2007, and I'm
mhm,
still in the transition. I kid you not. It's a
right,
transition every day. We
yeah,
lose the security blanket, you know?
that's right.
So and that's what we live in. We live in a security blanket when we're in the military.
It's really what it feels like when, and you don't realize that till it's gone.
Exactly.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So you started transitioning and talk a little bit about how you started that transition, because that's pretty cool about
So
getting certified and all
y-
the everything that you did.
yeah. So what I love about being so flexible in that time period, that was something I wouldn't say that everyone has the opportunity to do that, but I took advantage of the opportunities that I had. I really started to dive into. I was really big into professional development, and I was working. Uh, Participating and facilitating a lot of leadership development workshops and seminars, and I really enjoyed talking about personal growth, professional development, and everything that you can imagine would that would entail. And the one aspect, you talk about leadership, you talk about mentorship, and the one aspect that was new to me was the idea of coaching.
Yeah.
And for those who don't really understand outside of the realm of sports
Yeah.
and maybe personal training, um, it's still kind of probably a foreign concept of what coaching is: personal coaching, life coaching, which is exactly what I do.
Yeah.
I am a life coach, and in that is where I started to kind of enhance. As I was transitioning out of the military, I was learning still leadership and development and personal growth, but I started really learning more about what it means to coach
Yeah.
someone in life.
Yeah.
And that is something that I've been through a couple training courses, and I've started following different, we call them thought leaders,
Yeah.
that were really
Thank you for
inspiring for
following me.
me. Yeah, really inspiring for me. And that's where it started,
Yeah.
a basic learning process. And then I started researching different programs that I could utilize to become certified, and that's the one that I chose, is through a certified behavioral life coach certification, that I also get to really dive into human behavior.
Yeah.
And that's what I love. I
Yeah.
love how to learn how people behave and communicate and interact with each other, because it's so unique and diverse, and it just intrigues me. And if I
Yeah.
can't communicate with somebody, that's a challenge. Like,
Yeah.
I'm going to figure that out, how to make that breakthrough happen, because I know good things come from that.
Yeah.
So that's where I
Definitely.
am in this part of my transition. I still loved, from the leadership perspective, I've kind of transitioned out of that, but personal growth and professional development is still very much
Yeah.
a large part of what I dive into on a daily, weekly basis.
Yeah, and that's really cool because that's where you and I are in sync because that's really I love that stuff. I really focus on that. You know, and I just think, personalities, how we who we are and understanding who we are, understanding how
Hmm.
we communicate with others. But you got to know yourself before you can know others. And,
Right, exactly.
and that is
And
so
that is exactly where I started. There was I remember a conversation that was very pivotal point in my career. Is around 13, 14 years, after you
yeah,
join, you learn all this stuff, right?
yeah,
Sort of
yeah,
towards the end
yeah,
where you've already experienced so
yeah,
much, like, oh, now I can figure it out.
yeah,
But I remember being told, directly, you're great at your job, you know what you're doing, but you're missing something. You're missing how you can influence and teach and grow and develop others to then come behind you and in place of you, and then you can advance them on probably further than, right, I'm
yeah,
retired now, but
yeah,
that doesn't mean that I can't continue to help others learn and grow and develop in their careers, whether it's inside of the military or outside. That
absolutely.
was a skill set I did not have, and I
Yeah.
didn't understand that concept till much later, even as a supervisor and as in positions of leadership.
Yeah, you and I had that conversation. A lot of times that's very intimidating. It's intimidating to think,
Absolutely.
well, I'm going to develop Lindy. She's subordinate to me, but I'm going to develop her. But if I develop her, she's going to take over. She's going to surpass me. So I'm
Right,
scared.
that's that positional mindset,
Yeah,
job security. If you're worried about that, something's not right.
yeah,
Something's not
exactly.
right.
Absolutely. So you're introduced to Convene and you came into Convene, and then this guy named Matt said, "Hey, Lindy, I got an idea. I got this community. Will you take over
Yes.
it?"
And of course I said yes. Why, that's just the nature of my personality. Oh, something new? Sure.
Yeah,
Why not? How
yeah.
hard could it be? Right?
And it hadn't been hard. Come on, don't make it hard.
No, no, no. Right. So, and it fits, it's just like a glove with what I am passionate about. It's the life community. And there's really endless opportunities right now because it's in the developmental phase, and there's just so much to be added to it, and so much that it could be, topic wise, event wise, engagement wise, because we talk a lot about
Mhm.
the importance of communicating, connecting, and
Yeah,
we talk about collaborating.
yeah.
Um, just listening to the other teammates this morning, I got a new idea about a workshop that I'm not even done building my course, but I got another one on the horizon, and I'm
Exactly.
gonna have to put that one on, put a pin in it
Yeah,
because I got some things I got to finish first.
yeah,
But that's the collaborative, nature that I love about being connected with people, and
yeah,
getting ideas, and just really influencing and inspiring each other, doing
yeah,
completely different things.
yeah. You've done a wonderful job of doing it. You sent me the PDF or the ebook basically of your waypoints, and
Yeah.
you've taken talk about that because you've taken those waypoints and you've put them in there. And I looked
Yes.
at the PDF that you sent me, the ebook that you sent me, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is Convene. These marry up so well. So talk a little bit about that.
Right. So in this transition period, uh, I really wanted to capture the I want to say the essence, because that's kind of like a buzzword, but I want to capture what I gained and learned from being in the Air Force, and the experiences that shaped and molded me into who I am today, and who I'm continuing to learn, and what I'm continuing to learn about myself, and how that I can use that to help others. So I sat down, and this was a good year-long process, and it's evolved from, its inception, but where it sits today is waypoints. It's a journey. If you are not familiar with what a waypoint is, anytime you input an address, or you click on a map icon on Google Maps or whatever smartphone app you have for navigating, there's a little blurb, the little, kind of
Well,
teardrop, upside
yeah,
down teardrop, that will show up on the map, and it tells you how to get there. you know so long as you know where you want to go, the route will be established for you.
Yep.
And but sometimes, in my case, this is where this all developed from. I didn't have the route. I didn't have the map. I knew that I wanted to get to retirement, but I really didn't understand what it was going to take to get there, especially not from early on in my career.
Mhm.
And as I was stumbling and fumbling and learning and growing and succeeding and failing, which, because that all happens, I started really tuning into what were those things I was learning. And I came up with 12 of them. And so they're the 12 waypoints, and it's part of what I call my GPS for life.
Yeah.
And the first one, the very first waypoint, is personal growth.
Yeah.
That's where everything starts there. Self-awareness is so pivotal in making a significant shift for not just bettering yourself, but being better for others.
Yeah. You know why I love that is because when you talk about what Convene Communities is, and you talk about real life, real people, real experiences, and you talk about how we learn, and you talk about stumbling and falling and getting back up and going a little further and tripping again and getting back up. Well, that's life, and that's how we learn. And
Right.
the goal of Convene is to say, you know what, everyone, I fell down here. I scraped my knee here. I bumped my head
Yes.
here. You don't want to
Yes.
do it. So if you'll follow these waypoints that Lindy has made, everyone, if you'll follow these waypoints, then I'll help you get to the end game and to your final destination faster. And you don't have to scrape your knee. You don't have to hurt your
Right.
elbow, bump your head. And because that's what it's all about, you know, it's sharing
Right.
those experiences and giving that guidance, and that you've hit, and I mean this, Lindy, you have hit the essence of what Convene was designed for. And I mean that, like with what you're doing. And I don't say you, we it just marries up. It's perfect.
Right. Yes.
When we were creating it, it's like, okay, there's Lindy. I have that in mind. And I mean that, you know, because I think it's perfect.
Well, thank you. And one of the other things I want to mention about the waypoints. So when you're on a journey or you're about to start a journey, there's usually some basic things that you're going to pack, plan for, take with you, um, because you're just trying to predict, some unforeseen things. If you're hiking, you might want some water and some snacks. If you're traveling, you might want to throw an extra tank or a gallon of gas in the back.
Yeah.
You never know. You might take a wrong turn, and that's okay. Taking wrong turns, running out of tools, running out of equipment, running out of, maybe you've fallen off the path, or you're just not sure. Maybe you got turned around. Having these waypoints gives you something to refer back to get you back on the course.
Yeah.
And that's why understanding, starting with personal growth, you got to admit to yourself, well, I don't know everything. And that's really hard for some people. I don't know the route by memory. There's no possible way I'm going to be able to identify every turn and barrier and challenge that I'm going to face in life. But
Yeah.
if I can really start to dive into some of these concepts of personal growth, which I'll name several of them, is communication,
Yeah.
active listening, um, emotional intelligence, which has been around for a while, but it's really starting to permeate throughout the business, community, and also within personal growth in the school systems, and things like relationship building and leadership and team building, communicate, all of these things that we don't really embrace early enough. In my case, early enough, they were just, oh, I have to go sit through this briefing,
Yeah.
taking
Yeah.
time out of my coffee hour or so, but wow, had I had some of this knowledge back then, which is the importance of the leadership, mentorship, and coaching. When we get to those realms, that's when we get to take everything that we've acquired along the way and hopefully make it a little bit easier and make it a little more enjoyable and inspirational for someone else to come along behind us, beside us,
Yeah.
beyond us. And that's what I love about it.
Oh, I love it too. And you know, you talked about communication, active listening, you know, and becoming a counselor, you know, and becoming a coach. That's what they really dive into that, right? You got to learn to listen.
Right.
those are just key. We could go on all day because I think you're spot on with your GPS waypoints, because and I encourage everybody to go into Lindy's community, Convene Life, and take those, go through them. They're all in there. Share them with your friends. If you know somebody who wants to go through, share it. That's what it's about.
Yeah, and I've written blogs. I've got one coming soon, hopefully by the end of this week. I'm still trying to crank it out, but this month's gonna be on mentorship. Every month throughout 2020, I've posted a blog, which is just a light, introduction to each of the waypoints, and it's just to get people thinking. Think about personal growth is there's no one single plan that's right for everybody. But
Yeah.
once you start thinking and learning and listening and talking about it, you just really start to take accountability and take responsibility for something. You will inevitably identify some area in your life, whether it's relationships, business, parenting, in the workplace, relationship, things that you're trying to accomplish, sports teams,
Yeah.
school, inevitably there will be something that you need to adjust or, really put some more focus and time and energy on improving.
Yeah.
And that's what these will help. Mm-hmm.
So as we wrap up here, what's next for your community? How do you see it going and growing, and what do you want to see happening?
Yep. I would love to invite others. It doesn't, you don't have to be a life coach I just want to make that clear. You don't have to be a life coach to come into the community and hang out and click on the different groups. You don't have to be a life coach to create a group and talk about things that you're experiencing, that you're going through right now in life, because it's a forum that we can share ideas, share experiences, get feedback. And that's what I would love to kind of see, and obviously connect with new people, because I'm all about making new friends right now. So I don't see people very often. So any chance I can to say, hey, get on a Zoom call and kind of just chit chat about anything, like, life. I'm all for, but to kind of capture those ideas and to be able to share them, and it's there, it exists. It's a place that others can come and go from on their own time.
And give people a place to turn, when they're
Yes.
looking for something. And as that library grows within inside of the Convene Life community.
Yes. And I heard this earlier, and I think Lisa might have mentioned and Patty might have mentioned this too. Like, if you're not the type of person that wants to build your own website and, craft your own, infrastructure online, it's already done for you. You truly take your knowledge out and you input it in the sections. It walks you through the process. Everything's a learning process when it's new, but that's a huge benefit. If you're like, I spend hours like racking my brain trying to figure out my own website. And when I pop over and I'm just like, copy, paste, it's such a good feeling when you figure it out.
Yeah. And you figured it out, I think,
I did.
like you said, everybody, it's a learning process for everybody. And that's what I really want everybody. And I'm glad you said it. Patty said it. Lisa said it. It's a learning process, but it's not that big of a learning process. Once you get it down, you're off and running. You're making things happen.
Yes.
And we're here to help.
It allows you to be independent.
Yeah. And we're here to help. Like I said, my team is wonderful. My team is amazing. But not only that, our team of community leaders, you can see that we're all friends, and that we're all part of this one big happy family. And we want that family to grow. Trying to make the family reunion bigger.
That's right.
So when we can get out, when we do have this live event that we all share, it's going to be just amazing, which is good. Well, thank you so much. I'm so glad you're a part of Convene Communities. I really am. I enjoy talking to you. I enjoy joking with you. Obviously, we joke.
Yes. I think that's indicative of personalities, right?
Yes, totally. My call sign in the Marine Corps was Chuckles, right? I thought every.
Well, I had just had a conversation about call signs. We're not going there. So
we won't go there right now. So speaking of one of your friends, so the next person up, one of your friends,
my buddy.
We're getting ready to kick it with the coaches here just for a moment. Right here,
There he is. Good morning, Anthony.
Good morning.
I'm handing it off to you. Take it away.
Amazing. I've been listening, and what you're amazing, Lindy. I love you.
Yeah.
Thank
Well,
you.
how Lindy again? How Anthony got here was through Patty. You know how Lindy got here was through Anthony, and
Here's a story.
exactly right.
Right?
So one big happy family. So
Yes.
thank you for being a part of this. Again, I'm always here for you, and I can't wait to meet you in person. Just like everybody, it's going to be wonderful. And
It's
your
going to be
community,
a great family dinner when we get there.
it's going to be
Y'all
a
have a
full
good,
family
y'all
day.
have a good time.
All right, sounds good. Thank you.